For joining us. I am Yori Folan. I hope you've had a great weekend and are ready to take on the week. Okay, let's look at our safety. And by safety, I'm really talking about workers. There are laws. There are laws concerning this whole matter. By law, Nigerian workers are supposed to be provided for. In fact, the House of Representatives has a whole committee on this matter. It's called the Safety, Standards and Regulations Committee of the House of Representatives. And today we'll be speaking to two top people from that area. The chairman of the Committee on Safety, Standards and Regulations, he is Right Honorable David Idris Zacharias. He's going to be joining us very soon. But in studio, that lovely picture you just showed now, he's a member. He's a member of the, Committee on Safety, Standards and Regulations, Honorable Adeboye Kalejaye. Good morning to you, Honorable, and thank you for coming.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Nice catching your face again after some time. You're still looking so good.
You're too kind, sir. Thank you very much. Well, we thank God. So, how are you? How have you been?
I'm good, I thank God.
And can we say the same for Nigerian workers? If I say, how are Nigerian workers going by, this very, very important committee that you are a member of? Are you satisfied? Because what we're doing here is trying to assess, the situation with Nigerian workers. Go on, tell me if there is more to be desired or if we're not doing too badly.
Well, we are on the way. We're not yet there. We're on the way, and Lord. When I say we're on the way, it's just to say that the Nigerian law provides for worker safety at work and is governed by a constituted body that also assesses the contribution of employers to safety issues. So every employer is supposed to be provided for in terms of funding by the organization to provide for exigencies, for issues that may arise as a result of, work challenges, work hazards, people who become deformed as a result of maybe working in industrial setup. We have people whose hands have been cut off.
Oh, yes.
We have people who have died on duty. We have all of these things that occur at work. So there is a body that is set up where employers are supposed to pay, certain amount of money, percentage of the worker's salary to be able to cater for all of these exigencies. So, but then how well are the employers complying with this? That is why one of the reasons why the committee was set up, to ensure that employers pay adequately to this fund so that workers can be provided for in case of death, disabilities, and some other things that may occur in the course of duty. So that's one of the reasons why we are set up. Two, the employment's environment must also be conducive, must be safe. And when we're talking about safety, we're talking about those things that must be provided for within the organizational setup that will ensure that, God forbid, there is fire.
Yes.
There are safety exits. There are, enough facilities such as providing for some kind of fire extinguishers, providing for some organization, big organization, have their own fire station that can respond in cases of emergency. But then when we're talking about safety at employment angle, it's not only about fire. The most peculiar one that we all know about is about fire. But there are more than that when it comes to times of safety. Before fire occurs, for instance, some fires that occurred are just from spillages of wrong wiring. When you get to some organization, you see some naked wires. Nobody is providing to trunk those wires, because it could spark, and from there fire can get,
Yeah, but there are laws about these things. I imagine, especially in public places such as places of work, by law, you're supposed to have your engineering, your wiring, and that kind of a thing in a particular way that should be inspected and signed off on following your passing of that inspection. So my question is, what is the feedback that you are getting in terms of best practices between employers of labor and they themselves?
It can be very funny. We, as a committee, have been visiting organizations. We're just back. Last week, we were in Calabar. We were in the, some of the facilities of the body that runs, that provide, generating companies. And to see, what you will find out is that a lot of safety issues are taken for granted. A lot of safety issues are not paid particular attention to. Even organizations that are bigger, that you expect that you see their gigantic buildings, you see everything looking rosy. When we get there, we find out that minor things, those minor things that you think are not important, which of course are the most important things in terms of safety, are not there. So what the committee is all out, why it was set up 3 years ago by the National Assembly, particularly by the Speaker, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, was to enforce all of these things. And that's why this committee is empowered to visit any organization, be it private, be it public, to ensure that there are compliances to all of these laws. The laws are there. But then, do we keep the law? Do we obey the law? Do we follow the law? That's a problem. You see, Nigerians have good laws. We have good laws. But enforcement is very, very important. And that's why this committee was set up by the Speaker, so that we can go from place to place and do a random check on some of these facilities that are being occupied by our workers. So that's one of the reasons why the committee is set up. That's why it's called Safety, Standard, and Regulation. Mm-hmm. Are we keeping up to the standard? And are there adequate regulations, which is what is our own responsibility to ensure that these regulations are kept and they are followed. So that's one of the essence of this committee.
Indeed. Now, I wonder what, again, I use that word again, the feedback that you've been getting, both from your observations and your various channels of information that you will have, because oftentimes these will cost something and to put in place. And unfortunately, I don't think it's a matter of Nigerians now. People, if they are not closely marked, will try to get away with imele, so to speak. Now, have you come up against that kind of a thing? I guess what I'm really asking is, in the 3 years that this committee has been set up by the Right Honorable Speaker, has it had calls to go the whole hog with anybody, to sort of serve notice that, look, now we have our eyes on you, by which we mean the Nigerian people through the House of Representatives?
So our job is not necessarily to bully. We're not out to bully organizations. We're out to visit, take our notations, take our corrections, and then we always follow up by a letter explaining the contravenance. This is what you have contravened. These are things that you have not put in place.
Okay.
These are things you need to put in place. And then we also reschedule another visit. We'll give them like 1 month, 2 months, depending on, we also discuss, okay, these are things we need you to put in place. And then we'll have a duration of time when we also come back to ensure that those things are done. And I can assure you, I can tell you very, emphatically that we've been having some level of compliance. Even those who have the first visitation to, and we noticed some discrepancies, when we go back, we'll have noticed that we have had about 40, 50%, 60% compliance.
Okay.
So it may not be 100% compliant, because all of these safety issues too has to do with funding. Some organizations will complain, yes, we know the problems are there, but we don't have adequate funding, because they needed to be put in place by adequate funding. But then there will be no adequate funding for any organization. It depends on your priority. And safety becomes #1 priority of any organization. So no matter, we always tell them, no matter how paltry the amount of money you are given, it's your safety, it's life. And we always tell organizations that we visit that it's not about us, it's about you. You could be involved. Anybody could be involved. But safety for these organizations is primarily that of yourselves and the people you have put in place. So it's not only when incidents occur that we continue to cry foul, we continue to say, we set up inquiry and we'll set up all this. And then complementary to what we do at the federal, it's also for the state government to also set up a similar organization. For instance, let everybody emulate what Lagos State is doing. Lagos has a safety commission, of course, which enforces all of these regulations also, which ensure that even at the point of construction, those things are put in place. So we'll encourage every other state, especially states that are becoming more, their cities are becoming much more metropolitan, to also set up safety commissions, because it's difficult for us to go all in the entire country. Our coverage is the entire country called Nigeria. So it's difficult for us to achieve 100% visitation to every part.
I can imagine.
But a complementary role is what government of each state of the federation must also do. I'm seeing some states already have started taking cue from Lagos State, and Lagos State is setting the pace. But then other states that are more metropolitan must also take a cue from what Lagos State is doing. I'm aware that Lagos State Safety Commission is also organizing a conference taking place tomorrow, still discussing about safety. Issues have to be discussed. You have to call people to conferences, to seminars, for them to be able to understand what safety is all about. Because
industrial safety standards, they're indispensable to everything that we keep on talking about. We talk about providing employment. You were saying that there are some, in fact, just about any building that is going to be used as a commercial place has to be constructed in a certain way. I do believe that there's a list that, upon application to government, they will tell you that, okay, you're seeking approval for this commercial building. We just take it for granted that where is this, where is this, where is this, where is this? And then they will know what to do. So I imagine that is going on. But you've also said something, and I really didn't mean the question in the form of bullying. You said we're not out to bully. No, in fact, I can't imagine that you would have been out. But you're there as the eyes and ears, when you are there, of your constituents, which is Nigerians, that there are people who are watching out for us. And in the 3 years or so that you've been up and about running, this has been going on consistently?
Yeah, we do that regularly. Our committee visits at least once or twice in a week. We set up part of our, as a major part of our committee assignment. We go out regularly. I can tell you that as I speak with you, that people are also invited to the National Assembly. Organizations are invited to the National Assembly to explain certain things. When there are queries, they are invited. When we keep telling you this is what you are supposed to do and you're not doing it, before we apply our sanctions, we'll also invite you to the National Assembly and then put you before the entire committee and then raise issues of concern. So we've been doing that, and that is consistent in terms of this committee. The leadership of this committee, led by Right Honorable Zachariah, has been very up and doing. And the committee members are committed. So we spare our time. We travel far and wide. And then, for instance, I know that by Wednesday, we are in Calabar. On Wednesday, we are in Akwa Ibom. We are in Uyo. What are we there to do? We are doing the IPTON conference, whereby every organization must ensure that the people who handle their HSP are people who have correct certification. The IPTON is a certifying authority, like you have your ICANN. So we found out in most cases that people who run the safety of most organizations are not even properly certified.
Okay.
So that's why the IPTON conference is also holding, is a regulatory body, it's a certification body that also ensures that those who will man safety in various organizations are people who are competent in safety issues, who have certification. So that, of course, is what we're doing in Uyo in the next 3 days.
Okay.
Which we are also, as members of the committee, we're also going to be part of it. People are going to come from all parts of the country. People who are in charge of safety in various organizations, whether be it public, be it private. We're all going to sit down at the conference and also discuss. So issues of national interest must be debated, because if you don't bring people to understand what you want them to do and discuss with them, you will not understand their challenge. And it's difficult for us, like I've said, to visit every organization one after the other. But then conferences, seminars, workshops will also assist us to also explain those things that we think should be done. Like I said, we're not there yet, but then it's something that has happened. And it's never been done before. We've never had this kind of committee in the National Assembly before until when Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas came on board and felt that this is a very important committee.
It's not, nobody can really claim that they were unaware. No, you can't say that, because there's the Factories Act there, and that is the foundation, I understand, for anybody who is interested in all of these matters that we're talking about. If you were to grab hold of the Factories Act, it's like a compendium of what you must do, how you are expected to be to comply with a place that is going to be taking on many, many citizens. Take a place like this, when you came through the system, I think once you have a certain number of people on your staff, then you're obligated to, you're obliged to, come up with certain other provisions. Okay, we are still expecting to hear from the Right Honorable David Idris Zacharias. He's the chairman of the House Committee on Standards, Safety Standards and Regulations. He will be joining us very, very shortly. But just as well that we actually, unusually, but we actually have two members of that same committee. And so that's nice. So here we are. It'll be, would it be too much to ask for figures? What your committee, I'm sure, would have done some sort of research. Your research aides, assistants would have provided you with what we have suffered in past recent times in terms of our workmen and the role of insurance in all of this, how they intertwine.
Yeah, it's important to also note that we've lost so much in terms of violation of safety standard. When issues of safety...
In terms of injury,
destruction.
Okay, and loss of properties, machinery.
Take what happened in Lagos of recent. In Lagos Island. It's the most recent. Look at what we lost. People were thrown from the story building, and then they had to be, safe landed. Those who can take the risk. Those who are nearer, not those at the top. Some people were being thrown from the up, down. Some landed injured, and then the property destroyed. So we understand that when issues of safety occur, we lose so much. We lose in billions of naira. It's not in thousands. We lose billions of naira, not only in property, life, but the most important thing we must look at is about the human losses. The human losses cannot be overemphasized in terms of life. When a life is lost, it's equivalent to billions of naira that is lost, because you don't know what life will have become, what that life will contribute to national development. So we are more after, one, safety of life, and then safety of property, which of course all intertwine. And then insurance. What I'm saying about insurance is that whether you insure your workers or you don't insure your workers, insurance becomes secondary. What becomes primary is that you are able to contribute to the Employers' Compensation Act, which is governed by law, so that when issues of this occur, people who have lost their life, their family can be compensated. People who have had injuries, they can be taken care of, and they can be put on compensation for the rest part of their life.
But we do have some of that in existence right now.
Yes.
It's a bit maybe few and far between, but there are instances where, as a result of injury at work, people are compensated, even though sometimes the companies fight it.
Well, you see, you can't fight in terms of the body that is set up to regulate that. It's not an insurance. You understand what I'm saying? It is now a government parastatal that is set up for that purpose. And it's that government parastatal that compensates It's not about insurance.
Okay.
Insurance may be having, oh, you died, you didn't follow safety standard, it's your fault, no. These are employer compensative organization, which is automatic. When such issues occur, the organization now applies to that agency, and then the agency pays. So we've not had default. Though we don't pray to have much of such casualties, but then it's been an up and running organization that is doing very well.
Okay, and as you said, it was the Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas who about 3 years ago, decided that, we need to, pay attention to this because there are laws. In fact, the biggest law would be the Factories Act in relation to this. That is what a lot of stuff is based on. But then Honorable Abbas now decided that, what was the thinking behind that? That in addition to the laws which are stringent and which guide us, if any issue were now to be, what is the word now? If you wanted to progress any issue concerning workers' standards, safeties, and that kind of thing, you'd be leaning very much on the Factories Act. So, Honorable Abbas, what was the addition that he was thinking of when he thought that? Because we have we even have a court. We even have a court for such things. I think the National Industrial something court, that kind of a thing. So what was his thinking to, well, the first must have been just showing that we take our lives, our workers' lives very, very importantly.
Well, I must also tell you that as genuine as the intention of the National Assembly's motive may be, there are impediments. And I'll tell you one of the major impediments we have is the NECA.
Okay.
NECA is shielding the organizations under the pretense of protecting them. Shielding them and saying that, look, don't subject yourself to regulations. All under the guise of protecting the organization under them. And of course, we have also summoned NECA to the National Assembly to explain to us whether their role in safety issues supersedes that of the National Assembly. So it's an issue that I've been grappling with, and I will get over it. So any organization that is hiding under NECA, not to want to subject itself to regulations about safety and standard, will be doing that at its own peril. Because when such organizations are sanctioned, NECA will not be there to protect them. So what the Speaker was having in mind, apart from industrial safety, you understand what I'm saying, is beyond industrial safety alone. It's also to let people know that, look, safety starts from even your home.
Okay, of course.
If you sleep in the bedroom because of your carelessness, because your bedroom is not well tidied up, you have water flowing everywhere, and then you sleep, you have injury. It's home safety. So safety starts from your home. And if you can practice that, if you are in any organization, you will not allow such organizations to subject your life to their whims and caprices, to make you fall victim of such damages, of such, impediment. So for me, the Speaker was looking beyond industrial safety alone. We were looking at the health safety, was looking at so many other safety parameters when he was setting up the organization. And I think that is a committee that would continue to do more in terms of people are already becoming aware, organizations are aware that this committee exists, and are beginning to keep up. They are beginning to be more conscious of what they are supposed to do. And we don't visit the organization without writing them. We don't visit them just at random. No. We'll let you know. We are visiting the organization, so can you give us a convenient date? Even that notice alone is a caution for preparation.
Indeed.
What we always find out is that once we write a notice, oh, please give us 2 weeks more, give us 3 weeks.
To do what?
Up.
To tidy up.
So we don't mind.
Okay.
Tidying up is good. So the period you are using to tidy up, you are fixing things that they have not fixed before.
Okay, let me, by the way, NECA, you've mentioned NECA a number of times. That's the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association.
Yes.
I'm going to come back to what were they giving you grief for, if at all, and that is indeed what they were saying. But before then, Mr. George, good morning, sir, and apologies for keeping you waiting. Please go ahead now.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning
to your guest.
Honorable Kalejaye.
I've been listening to what your guest is saying about safety standards.
Okay.
But the question I want to ask him is that how are these safety standards enforced? This committee, do they have the power to, dictate enforcement? It's one thing to regulate, it's another to enforce. Many of these safety measures, the calamities happen before we start talking about enforcement.
Okay.
Look at fire incidents in buildings. Building collapse is still happening here and there. But the safety standards, if they are being enforced, many of those things will have been prevented. So what is the committee's power limits? What can they do to actually ensure execution of these safety standards? That's what matters to people.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Honorable, I'll take a break now so that I won't have to interrupt you when you want to respond to that question about what are the powers or limits of powers at the disposal of the Committee on Safety Standards and Regulations. Do please stay with us. We'll be right back. Looking at safety regulations in Nigeria, and we have the, actually we were scheduled to have the chair, Right Honorable David Idris Zacharias, chair of the House Committee on Safety Standards and Regulations. There are some technical difficulties, otherwise he would have joined us, but we're lucky that we do have Honorable Adeboye Kalejaye, member of the House of Representatives Committee on Safety Standards and Regulations in the House. And just before we went on break, Mr. George in Lagos had called and I wanted to know what are the limits or the aids that the laws provide for you?
Okay, thank you very much. The law is the law. The law that regulates safety is very, very explicit. Mm-hmm. The sanctions are also very explicit. And the mandate of the committee goes beyond mere visitation. It goes beyond mere correction.
Okay.
It goes beyond mere advisory. It is also sanctional. We can sanction organizations that are not complying. We can close down an organization for safety purpose.
But you haven't ever had to do so.
We have not had to do so because in enforcing laws, there are methods of enforcing law. There is the persuasion. Mm-hmm. There is the perseverance on the part of somebody who wants to enforce law. How have you persevered? Your child keep offending you. Before you start, taking a cane to cane your child, how well have you sat him down to say, look, these are the implications of what you are doing wrongly? Because most time we correct without letting people know the implications of what we are correcting them for. So it's only when you sit a child and say, look, if you put your hand inside fire, it will burn you. You can sustain a permanent injury that will defame you for life. You could lose your life. The moment he sees fire, or he or she sees fire, he or she becomes conscious that it's dangerous. So we employ those methods before applying sanctions. And like I've said, even government organizations that we have visited, you understand, we also find out that even government organizations are not too compliant in terms of safety standard. But then, once we lay it out, we lay our complaints, we follow with letters, those are observations, and then we'll give them time to correct. Yes, like I said, we have compliance in terms of correction and what have you to a high degree of percentage. But then, we have not had to close down anywhere.
Okay. Because
it's the last result. When you close down an organization for safety purpose, Nigerians are people, is either support or against. They say they are regulating. Have they even regulated their own themselves? That's when they talk about the jumbo amount of money you receive.
Okay, you want us to go there?
No,
we can, no. Since you went and brought it up,
that's when
you know we are hurting. You know.
So when you over-regulate and you over-enforce,
okay,
it's going to be two ways. To say, physician, heal thyself.
Okay.
So while we are trying to enforce, we must ensure that we do it with some sense of responsibility.
Okay.
One, to the workers, to the country, to the service that is being provided by such organization. If you close an organization that is very strategic to national development, it's going to affect national development. If you close an organization that is about safety of people who are producing food, for instance, you sanction them and say close down the place. For instance, you shut down a NAFDAC organization, which of course is supposed to regulate, drug and what have you. You are not doing justice to the country.
Or you try to shut down NNPC and Dangote.
Why not you try to shut down TVC?
Or Dangote. Let's stay with Dangote. You try to shut down Dangote or NNPC.
Or NNPC. So you need to also be careful. But then if there are absolute deviants that we have observed, we are willing to apply the maximum. So to my answer to my brother who called is to say that our powers are not exclusive. It is not limitless. But then it does not preclude us from shutting down organizations that are not compliant.
If need be, and that so far you haven't had to go so far.
No, we don't. We have not yet.
Which means that things, can get better. Let me not just say things are okay, but can get better. Yes. Now, you spoke about NECA, the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association. What reason would they have to beef at all?
You see, our visit is a clarion call. It puts organizations on their toes. So, an organization that are not complying would rather hide under any pretense not to subject themselves to inspection. So if they have an association and say, no, don't listen to them, they are likely to look that way. But then until when one or two of them realizes that listening to NECA will be more injurious to you than listening to the national body that is set up by the National Assembly. So yeah, they are trying to be overprotective to their members, but then we are not giving them the room. And here we're using this medium to also let them know that the hands of the law will fall on them. It's an association.
Yes, of employers of labor.
It's an association.
Of employers of labor.
Yes,
these are the people that are being audited, actually.
Yes. So we also subject them to some regulations too. But then we are also talking to them. We're inviting them to the National Assembly to come and tell us how their powers run above that of the National Assembly.
Now, you said there's a conference, I think kicking off tomorrow.
That's the Lagos State Safety Commission.
Okay, it's not national.
It's not national, but we are taking part. Because
the National Assembly is taking, through your committee.
Through our committee.
It's taking part.
We're taking part. We're going to also be there to give a support to what Lagos State government is doing, and also give our own experiences and offer advices. Then not only that, it's going to be an opportunity for each state of the Federation to also try and do something similar. It makes our job much more easier. Especially, like I've said, states that are becoming more metropolitan, that are becoming more urban, and most capitals of the states in Nigeria are becoming more metropolitan. For instance, you remember that when Lagos was setting up Loma, it was the first of its kind. But today, so many states have also set up, because urbanization will bring a lot of challenges. You generate more refuse, you have more challenges, and your buildings, as you construct them, as you do all of these things, if you don't follow safety regulations, you will run into foul, you will run into safety issues. So we're going to be there to partake, to also let them know that we will encourage states to set up similar organizations, and then states who are who needs consultation in terms of what to do and what not to do. Apart from consulting Lagos State, the National Assembly is also available for them to consult to set up similar organizations, so that it could be, a collaborative effort both on the part of the state, on the part of the national, then we can get the country moving.
You know, the point has been made, I think you have also, touched on it, that sometimes to do the needful does require some funding. And we've heard that, well, it's not as if we don't know, but the funding, even government says it in its own context, in a different way, say, funding is not limitless. So what do we do? Is it that they shouldn't have been allowed to start operations if you are a public building for workers? Is it that they shouldn't have been allowed in the first instance rather than allow them and then begin to sort of chase them to do the right thing?
Yeah, you understand that each state has a similar body called, either ministry or agency of physical planning. Every state has one form of planning regulations. And that explains why you find out that when even buildings are constructed, even when they are the third floor, fourth floor, they still bring them down. And then there will be noise. What were you looking?
Yeah, exactly.
Before they got to the third, the fourth, and fifth floor.
Yeah.
You see that you just want to destroy money. You want them to spend their money, and then when they finish spending, they go and demolish it. No. So every state must have such physical planning body that check construction, that check all of these things before completion. So, but then, that as it may be, this structure that we're occupying today is still new.
Okay.
As the structure ages, there will be tears and wears. So, what we're saying is that even when buildings, organizations comply ab initio, it does not mean that the thing will remain in that form forever. So there must be constant check to replace, even in our rooms, in our houses, your bulbs, they get burnt.
Yeah.
You have to replace them.
Yeah.
If they get burnt one after the other, before you know it, you throw the entire house into darkness. So what we're saying is that even though there are regulations that say that you must comply with this, and when they are fully complied with in terms of the takeoff, it does not mean that those things will be there in permanent, position in terms of usage, in terms of,
So they must constantly be monitored.
So they must be constantly monitored.
Okay. Mazi Okoroafo, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess.
Yes.
Good morning.
See, this safety standard is very, very important. It's come at the right time. There was an incident last 2 months about a young man. The machine stopped off his hand. Before he talked the other, nobody cares about it. It was abandoned. Now, the question is this. Organizations are run with all these big machines or big equipment. Right from the gate, in those days, what I used to see, you see a very big signboard. As you are coming in, you see the big in their neon sign, advert sign on the board, telling you that where you are going, if this side operation is a dangerous equipment, you have to be very, very careful. But here, organizations upon the whole billions and trillions they are making, they don't even care about the staff safety, which is not ready. Now, can you imagine a staff in an organization? You are going to all those equipment areas. You're supposed to have all these parts. But see them wearing not ready. Honestly, I ask myself, what does it take the organization to get all these food that is very strong for the organization, for the staff? So even the cap, you don't see it.
The hard hats.
Just look at what you are facing. That's all. Let's take the latest one we know now. Some of these big restaurants, you are supposed to cover your hair as a lady. Even men, cover your hair with all this proper one. To cover so that all those will not enter the food. But how many of them don't even care? At the end of the day, enter the food. Fortunately or unfortunately, the person will eat. At the end of the day, having problem with their intestine. At the end of the day, say, hey, that one not kind of one not away. But that was carelessness of organization of taking all those things that affected the customer. So please, when you talk about standards, the standard organization is there, other organizations are there, that's all of this. Go to all these organizations and hey, the one that's supposed to do every month. Not this one they call the 2 once in a year. Say they are doing that like consumers that they are starting to them. Go down consumer or this workers come to work early, this and that. Consumer safety, the consumer how the consumer that, yeah, look, 80% of products we drink now, whether we like it or not, quote me anywhere, you come out fruit. Some of these drinks which are not solution. Take one and half of it, rainwater and half of it. What happened? The organization is supposed to take, they are not doing the needful. Honestly, the earlier they do the needful, the better for us to save the life of Nigeria. Many homes, many people have been sent to empty grave because of the negligence of the organization that's supposed to take care of this morning. Mazu Krafo from America. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Same to you, Mazi Okurafo. And you know, I think the bigger companies seem to be complying better, by which I mean, just look at construction sites. Those that are handed to either expatriate or big Nigerian companies, they comply. By which I mean, you see them wearing hard hats, aka helmets in our local parlance. The hard hats, in case you don't know what a hard hat is, you've seen Dangote wear it when he's in situ, in the context of within. And this must be complying with some of the regulations. You cannot be in certain areas if you are not adequately protected. And it's just, it isn't just about the workers of the place. It can even affect other people. Again, when big companies, big Nigerian companies, and the expatriate construction companies, when they're working, you see the chain, the metal curtains that they cast right down in case anything were to fall. You might just be going your way, not concerned with the company one way or the other, and have something land on your head with God knows what kind of velocity, which could easily be a death sentence. So there are companies that know and indeed are complying, and government is not worrying them. But when an ordinary person is putting up a construction, of course, it leaves a lot to be desired. It does leave a lot to be desired. Now, is there a limit to those people that you can concern yourself with? I don't imagine that the whole House of Representatives will be concerning itself with these kind of things I'm talking about. Well, not small, but you know what I'm saying. If a single man is building his own house and somebody now comes up and shows that, only you defila now. All of these ones are not wearing hard hats. All these ones are not wearing specialized boots. How does that work? Because, look, a life is a life. Whether you're in a big company, whether you're in a small company, are you afraid that some might slip through the cracks of the safety that you're trying to emphasize?
You see, if we do it rightly, nobody will skip. And I'll explain to you.
Okay.
From the micro and the microcosm of monitoring, of regulation, it starts with your building approvals.
Yes, yes.
Before your building approvals are given, that has nothing to do with the National Assembly. It has to do with the Ministry of Physical Planning. So you state what you want to build. And as soon as you start construction, there is also a visit to ensure that you are complying with what you have put on your diagrams. You have had Ministry of Physical Planning or some other agencies or the Ministry of Physical Planning coming to say, this is not part of the approved.
Yes,
plans.
yes.
And then they demolish. But Nigerians are easy to cry foul. You understand what I'm saying?
As you indicated earlier.
As indicated earlier.
Because they will come and say, why didn't you stop him?
Yeah. In terms of road construction, for instance, some people are given approval to construct roads. And then when roads are being constructed, there are agencies of government who are sent there. For instance, LASMA in Lagos will be sent there to give you caution, to flag off. There are road signs to say, even on you are approaching a bumpy area, slow down.
It's all part of safety.
The safety starts from even your signs when you drive. It starts from when you are giving license to people to drive, your driver's license. You are supposed to go for driver's tests. But today, how many of us go for driver's tests before licenses are issued?
So there's a part for us to play.
So there's a part for everybody to play. So it's not about our committee alone. It's about the whole gamut of the entire enforcement and regulatory agencies from the smaller part to the middle part to the larger part. So if agencies of government are able to carry out all of this work, then we don't have problem. Like for instance, when we go to also visit, some of these safety compliance we are talking about are not about huge funding, because you are talking about funding. Mm-hmm. Everybody will complain about funding, but then what of your signs? I was coming into your office today, and I see signs on the staircase. Hold the steering wheel. You understand what I'm saying? It's a guide, it's a caution. You may still think you are strong enough.
Mind your steps.
Mind your steps.
On the steps
so
themselves.
You may still think you are strong enough not to hold the steering wheel, but supposing anything happens.
Okay.
You understand? How many of us have tested our BP before leaving home? And it could run, foul at any given point in time. So those things are not about funding alone. It's about care. It's about care for the life of us workers, of the people, not only the workers, of those who visit the organization, those who patronize the organization. You must be concerned about the safety of not only the workers, you must be concerned about those who visit the organization, those who patronizes you. Those are issues to look at. And then you also want to observe that there must be safety exit routes.
Of course.
Safety exit route. You can't have a just one stop exit route for your buildings. You must have safety routes, emergency safety routes, alternative safety routes. You must have them. Some organizations have lifts that can only carry goods. Lifts that carries human beings. It's not as if you cramp everybody in the same lift where you park your loads and everything. So those are issues of safety are multivarious. They come in different dimensions. And then so it's about all of us.
Everybody has a part to
play. Safety is about everybody. If you see something, say something. If you visit an organization and you notice a few things, drop a few notes.
Okay, if possible.
Yeah.
Do that kind of a thing. It's like what you're saying is that everybody is concerned with safety.
Yeah.
You never know who could be a victim.
You won't know.
God forbid. And some organizations go beyond the call of duty. You were just talking about coming into TVC and seeing various signs, all to just make you feel, secure and comfortable and that kind of a thing. So there will be organizations like that. And it's not just where we started from. It's not this is not just in the workplace. I imagine it also extends to residential buildings. There is safety involved in all of this. And by the way, I'm just curious. When Dangote refinery was being built, were you interested as a body?
We were there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We were there. Not necessarily as even safety regulations. The House of Representatives were there severally.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. The entire leadership was in Dangote.
So everybody.
Especially when there were controversies about, what he's trying to construct, what he's trying to do, he negates this and whatever. The House of Representatives were there. The leadership were there. And I'm sure the Senate were also there.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So it's not as if we're sleeping. We're not sleeping. We're awake to our responsibilities. And then we need Nigerians to support us.
Indeed. So, well, this Lagos State is starting off its own conference on this whole matter from tomorrow. It's a way of also spreading the word, what our attitude is to this matter of safety. Because, as you know, we want people to come in and they must just know the kind of, so to speak, animal that we are. How seriously do we take matters of safety of life and indeed construction? We often see, especially as we have heard and the whole world has become a village, buildings collapsing or doing that kind of thing cannot be encouraging to anybody who President Tinubu is busy trying to invite to. Nigeria is open for business. Remember that famous line? So we must show that indeed we are open for business. Well, we're going to have to leave it here. But I want to thank you very much for coming on the program to tell us about this area. Sometimes we take these things for granted, but thank God there are people, there are bodies like yours who, in addition to the laws, which are stringent, also it's like you people are also saying that we are also interested, and we shall be supporting all the regulations and all the compliances. Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Adeboye Kalejaye, member of the, sorry?
It's a PhD.
PhD. You see, where did I hear that this morning? It is you. It is you. Who, well, yes, it was when you referred to Right Honorable David Idris Zacharias. After all the accolades, you now put PhD for the avoidance of doubt. So you are saying that even you too, is everybody a PhD in that your body?
No. You know, PhD, there are two types of PhDs. You can add your PhD through honorary PhD.
Yes.
Those of us who go through academics and then have a PhD, we jealous it very tremendously.
Indeed. Well, what's your discipline?
Mine is public administration.
Okay, so you have a PhD in public administration.
Yes.
Of which university?
Lagos State University.
Lagos State, everything Lagos.
Because that's where the action is.
Is the center of excellence.
It's the center of excellence. It's the most sought after university in the entire country today.
Lagos State University?
Is the most yes, it's the most sought after university in the entire country. And it's the best in the entire Southwest.
All right. We're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for coming on, Honorable Adeboye Kalejaye of the House of Representatives, Committee on Safety, Standards and Regulations. Thank you once again.
My pleasure, viewers. Thank you.
All right, then. So see you tomorrow, God willing, for a fresh edition of the program. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.